A landmark passed in 2006, which saw the last winner for the famous black with a white chevron colours of Edward St George's Lucayan stud.
Bahama Mama is going to be the last representation for, Lucayan stud, Edward St George, who have been a huge supporter to the yard, and I hope that maybe one day someone in the family will see the black and white colours back. But it was lovely to win the listed race with her, running in those colours, and it was a poignant moment, realising that she was going to be the last representation for Lucayan stud.
The 2006 season saw the emergence of Simply Perfect. The grey filly carried Derek Smith's colours with distinction throughout a busy two-year-old campaign.
Simply Perfect, tough, honest filly. Campaign for the whole of the two-year-old season. Second in the Queen Mary, third in the Princess Margaret, and then finished the season winning the Mayhill on Leger Day, which made it a special day, a Group 1 and a Group 2 on the same day. Darrell Holland rode her, and I asked him just to settle her in and get her relaxed early and produce her with a late run in the race. At the time, I was a little concerned as to how well she would stay the mile trip. He carried out his instructions to perfection and delivered her in the last 2 furlongs, and she quickened up well to win. I think it was about a length and a half at the end.
Simply Perfect is sticking to her like a limpet, and she's coming home the stronger. And Simply Perfect, it sums up Jeremy Noseda's day, and Simply Perfect wins the Mayhill.
Ready to go, and they're racing.
Headed her off to Ascot. Felt going into the race she had a big chance. Once again, she delivered the goods, settled in midfield, turned for home, sitting in about 3rd position, and Darrell delivered her in furlong and a half from home, and she won well in the end.
And Simply Perfect goes on to win a treat. Is being squeezed on the rail near home.
It was a good, solid performance, and delighted to have finished the season with a Group 2 and a Group 1 under her belt.
This is Simply Perfect moving forward.
At 3, Simply Perfect started out in the first classic of the season, the 1,000 Guineas. The Danehill filly put up an excellent performance.
Then on from there to the Falmouth at Newmarket. Johnny actually came up with a plan to make the running. I was a little bit sceptical, to be honest, but he seemed so confident about it that we decided to go and give it a go.
We had a chat beforehand, Jeremy and myself, and I said, there's not much pace, I might make the running. And he looked at me and he said, right, OK, do you think that's the right thing to do? And I said, yeah. I says, she pulls a bit, but I think when she goes to the front, I said she'll settle a bit better in front. So she settled beautifully, we got a lovely run, and when I asked her to quicken, she really stretched up the hill.
She made the running, he rode a most marvellous race, and she showed her usual toughness, and gameness and ability to get in front, repel all challengers and actually win well at the finish.
But Simply Perfect from the front here under Johnny Murtagh, and she stole the race. Simply Perfect set a slow gallop, dictated it, kicked from the front.
The Falmouth was a great win. I mean, Johnny was very, very enterprising ride. I mean, that was his decision to ride her that way, but she's never let us down, and that's how Jeremy always says to us. She'll always be in the firing line, and she always is. She's a very tough filly, she's been great for us.
Also in 2007, Sharfleet was home to a pair of smart, gutsy, hard-knocking juveniles bought for a newly formed syndicate called the Searchers. The partnership was named after the famous 1960s band, a favourite of Paul Roy's.
The idea was to buy some horses at the Breeze Up, specifically at the Breeze Up, with the group of 4 or 5 of us. Almost slightly spontaneous the way we picked up both Fleeting Spirit and Strike the Deal. We sort of alighted on these two, and it's worked out very well.
Fleeting Spirit actually been a little bit of a revelation for us. Started off a campaign at Nottingham, won a maiden well, sent her to the Molecombe at Goodwood, and felt going into the race she had a good each-way chance. Jumped out in the race, disputed the running, and then quickened up from a furlong and a half out. And although she only won by a neck, she always looked like she had the race under control, and it was a performance of a very, very smart sprinting filly.
Inside the final furlong, Kingsgate native on the far side of Fleeting Spirit as they race up towards the line. Kingsgate native, Fleeting Spirit on the near side will just win it.
After that, we decided, of course, that, with a query in our mind as to whether she'd get the 6, we decided to have a tilt at the Lauder. I personally feel in that race that nothing really went right. She pulled hard. Maybe Johnny was trying to just conserve her stamina a little bit, but she pulled hard and ran herself into the ground and got run out of it in the last 100 yards. you know, I felt always that wasn't possibly her best run. Following that, we dropped her back to 5, ran in the Flying Childers at Doncaster, where she put up an extremely impressive performance. Frankie just tracked the leaders and produced her and won quite comfortably.
Fleeting Spirit is showing them a clean pair of heels here as she's blisteringly quick. She's hacked up. Fleeting Spirit wins the Flying Childers in tremendous style.
Then it was a decision, did we go to the Abbey or did we go to the Cheveley Park? You know, there was a lot of consultation between myself and the searchers. We discussed things over and eventually decided to have a tilt at the Cheveley Park. And I thought she put up a performance that possibly in most years was good enough to have won a Cheveley Park.
Two very good fillies, Natagora by a half length to Fleeting Spirit as they race up towards the line. Natagora, Fleeting Spirit is closing, they head towards the post and Natagora wins the Cheveley Park from Fleeting Spirit.
We were beaten by a very good filly on the day, but filly having drawn 3 or 4 lengths clear of the third, I was very proud of the performance on the afternoon, although a little bit aggravated not to have got the job done. Strike the Deal, he's reminded me in a little way to Wilco. Tough, hard-knocking horse, always run good, solid races all season. Won the Richmond at Goodwood, Group 2, put up a good performance that day.
And Strike the Deal comes through to claim the lead off Fat Boy, and Strike the Deal asserts in the last few strides.
Had a little bit of a blip in the Champagne at Doncaster when nothing went right in the race, but has since come back, second in the Mill Reef, and then second in the Middle Park and Newmarket, where he stumbled coming out of the stalls, and possibly it might just have cost him the race on the day. Dark Angel, and I wouldn't want to take anything away from him, but got a nice easy lead, and we only really got running in the last furlong. But, another tough performance by the horse and couldn't ask for anything more. Finished off the season and had a tilt at the juvenile turf at the Breeders' Cup, and sadly the heavens opened, the ground went soft, and basically before the race I'd given up any ambitions to win and was actually more concerned that this performance might be, appalling in the conditions. So his 4th place finish in the end was actually a bit of a result, because on that ground I didn't expect a performance of that calibre. So a brave horse, a genuine horse, and he's been a great servant to us this year.
Appropriately, 2007 saw a glorious chapter in the career of a remarkable horse.
Soldier's Tale. He's had so many problems in his time, and to eventually win the Group 1 was great for everybody.
Soldier's Tale, coming back from the dead. I mean, he's more injuries than anything, and colic surgeries, and he's ended up winning the Group 1 at Royal Ascot. Marvellous feat, brave horse.
He was always a horse I had a huge regard for. He was in the same generation as Balmont. Sadly, a week before the Jersey, he fractured a cannon bone, his near fore cannon, and had to have 4 screws put in it. When the 3 top screws were removed, he got colic. He had to have colic surgery.
He was very sick, probably almost died. It was very nasty colic, and he pulled through. A lot of people were involved. The trainer and the owner were very patient, and he's come back to win a fantastic Group 1 race.
I remember a fateful evening where we actually thought we were going to lose him, and he was possibly within 5 minutes of us having to humanely, destroy him. But we gave him another half an hour and he pulled himself through. It was a miracle, really, that he survived, but he did. And he came back the following year. He won first time out in a handicap at York. Possibly, one of my most emotional days to have brought him back from, nearly dying to doing that. Then went on, won the Chip Chase at Newcastle, and followed up that with a 4th place finish in the July Cup from an awful draw, and I thought he was basically on the day a little bit unlucky that day. Sadly got injured in the July Cup, was out for the rest of the year, and then his 5-year-old campaign was blighted by a series of setbacks, including another couple of fractures which stopped him running at 5. And then he returned this season and ran a huge race, pretty much having his first run for 22 months to be 3rd in the Duke of York. Finished 3rd, and I was thrilled with him. Went to Royal Ascot, and it was a special day. I remember Les, my travelling head man, rang me and said it was raining in the morning. I had a look at the track, decided that the ground was going to be suitable for him, and the more it rained, the more I started to believe that this was our chance and this could be our day. And I told a fair few people who were, quite close to me, my owners, that this horse was going to, was set up to run a huge race on the day. By the time the race came around, I was actually confident that he would definitely be in the first 3 and had a big chance of winning. Had a chat with Johnny, and we decided that sort of Takeover Target was going to be the horse to lead us through the first part of the race. My exact words to John, I said, if you can be within 3 lengths of Takeover Target at halfway, then he can go really close to winning it.
Got a lovely run all through the race, and I thought when the Australian horse quickened he had us, but fair dues to Soldier's Tail, he was all guts and he battled out really well, and he just got up and won on the line, but he deserved that, you know. He's a great horse down through the years, and to overcome what he had to overcome was probably a bit special.
Johnny, you know, carried out the instructions to perfection. I think going through halfway he was within 2 lengths of Takeover Target, and then the old fella, he just grounded out to the death and got there in the final strides.
100 yards left to go. Takeover Target grabbed by Red Clubs. Soldier's Tail and Ascot coming hard, but the Aussie's digging deep. Takeover Target, he won't be beaten. It's close.
Fabulous to win any Group 1, and you know, even better to win a Group 1 at Royal Ascot. But with everything that's gone on in this horse's life, it was possibly one of the most satisfying days of my life, if not the most satisfying day. And it was a very emotional day. You know, there was nearly a point where I was fighting the tears back myself. It was a special day, and just to have gone through all he's gone through and come back and get back to that level, it's a great tribute to the horse, tribute to my staff here. A lot of people have put a lot of work into this horse, getting him back to this point, and you know, I owe it to them. I owe it to Sid, his owner, for his patience and giving me the opportunity to go on so long with this horse through all his problems and bring him back to that. And you know, mainly a tribute to the horse, an incredibly tough horse. He's always fought everything, and you know, he has a mixture of huge ability and huge heart and determination, and you know, I admire him immensely. And I hope that there's a few more horses that walk into this yard in the future that have got his ability and his heart. The only thing I hope they don't have is his misfortune.
For owner Sid Bellsberg, racing manager Catherine Nicholl, Jeremy Salley and the entire staff, memories of Soldier's Tail will never fade. They have become embedded into the bricks and mortar at Shalfleet.